to the Sabi Sands, Djuma and Arethusa Game Reserves. We have got off to a very lucky start. It's Brian on camera today and myself presenting. Sadly, Mark and Jiga have run into some more difficulties with that vehicle, and they didn't make it back to Djuma this afternoon, so they're working on it, and hopefully sooner rather than later Jiga will be back up and running. So apologies about that. It will just be one vehicle out this afternoon. But despite that, like I said, we really have got off to a very, very lucky start here. And what Brian is going to do is he's just going to pan across and show you what we found. Oh yes. Now, we bumped into him about 5 minutes ago, and really we're just completely lucky. We had no idea that he was here. But it is one of those spots that you always kind of double check as you drive past. We are in Philemon's Dip here, and this drainage line does have a lot of leopard activity in it. I often have seen leopard tracks here following this little riverbed. But today is the first time that I've actually seen a leopard in it, so I'm very happy the way things have worked out. It looks like the quarantine male, according to his spot pattern and the photo profiles that I have of him. Certainly a young male leopard without any scars or scratches and prime condition. And judging by his behavior in the last 5 to 10 minutes that we've been here, he's been doing a lot of yawning, and now he's started to groom himself, and this can often be the build-up to a lion or leopard becoming active, or most cats, I guess. So half of me is hoping that he does get up and start moving around. That obviously does increase our chances of seeing any action. But on the flip side, the concern is that if he does head down this drainage line further, we will seriously battle to follow him and could well lose. And the area surrounding this little clearing that we're in is very, very thick. So those are two things to bear in mind if he does get up and mobile. So this is the same leopard that any of you who were watching this morning would have seen. Mark managed to find him this morning, but sadly due to a few technical difficulties, the signal wasn't doing too well, and we didn't get to show you as much as we would have liked to. But as the crow flies from here, this animal's probably moved 2 miles, possibly a little bit more than that, since where you saw him this morning, for those of you that were following. If not, well, you've lucked out because you've got to see him this afternoon. For those of you who are joining for the first time, welcome, and for our regular viewers, welcome back. Just a reminder, if you would like to ask any questions, hashtag @SafariLive would be the Twitter address. Beautiful, look at this, folks. Look at this. This is really beautiful, folks. He's coming right up to us. Wow. Haven't we got lucky with this? This is wonderful, folks. Scratching his claws on the tree to keep them in good condition. just as a domestic cat would. This keeps them sharp. I was just giving some directions to a game vehicle that's just arrived. I feel very bad because I forgot to update them about this. As we went live, he became mobile and asked for any updates, but I had focused all my attention on you guys, so I do feel a bit bad. That's Texan, it looks like, one of the local guides here. But I'm glad he's here, and I would have remembered to call him shortly. And now that there are two of us here, it will aid in following this animal. Okay folks, bear with me now. I do want to try and get ahead of him as best as I can to give you the best possible shot. And I think we are in that spot right now. Okay. So special to be able to view animals as beautiful as this and as secretive as this, with them responding so minimally to the vehicles. Little toilet break. Again, it just reaffirms how relaxed they are with us, and we are so fortunate to be able to view these animals in this relaxed state. As I mentioned earlier folks, this leopard is in its prime. It looks very intense. It may have seen something up ahead. Now it is a youngster folks, it's just about 2 years old, and you can see it is stalking something. This is wonderful. But due to its age, we can be assured that it is not experienced and has got a lot to learn when it comes to hunting folks. But please do understand that we are watching this animal stalking something. We're not sure what it is, but this is incredible. This really is incredible. There it goes, a little bit faster. It's certainly seen something here folks. Look at its tail twitching. Now we don't want to impact too much, and we also do need to take turns in having the best position with the game viewer. So we're each going to take turns this afternoon, and that way it's only fair for the two vehicles in the sighting. What a start folks. This I didn't expect. Myself and Brian were disappointed to hear of Mark's misfortune with Jiga, and we're sad that we were missing half of the team this afternoon, but when this happens, it just goes to show that everything happens for a reason, and if the afternoon continues like this, we won't require two vehicles being out here, because I could stay with this leopard the whole afternoon very, very happily. It's still very intent on something. We're not sure what it is. We haven't seen it. Their senses are so much better than ours that it's difficult for us to tell sometimes what they know. But again, folks, it's important to understand that this is a youngster, and even when they are mature and experienced, they do battle or have a low strike rate. 20 to 30% of attempts will be successful. So for this guy, I would say it's less than that. It's in the 5 to 10% region. He's still got a lot to learn. He would have been completely reliant on his mother up until a few months ago, so it's around 20 months of age, I think, in his case. And that whole time he would have been relying on her to feed him and make kills. Yes, he certainly would have caught whatever he could along the way, but he didn't have that pressure that he does have now. Oh, that's possibly what he was interested in. I've just seen a dwarf mongoose run across the road, and sadly for dwarf mongoose, they tend to be high up on the menu with young leopards like this. They're relatively easy to catch, I think, and it is a small biting to keep them going. Not ideal in terms of a meal, but any snack they can get their paws on, they'll certainly take. Well, he's certainly reassessing the situation and still intent on something. But it's not uncommon for leopards to lie down and fall asleep in situations like this. And that is what we may be experiencing as we speak. I've seen leopard stalking impala and various antelope before and getting relatively close, 20 to 30 meters away from them, and then simply lying down and falling asleep. So, yes, they are incredible hunters, but they do sometimes do some strange and unexpected maneuvers, especially considering, I mean, this animal was stalking, jogging at stages towards whatever is in here that got its attention, and now it's asleep, basically. So either way, we're very lucky that it chose to move out in the direction that it did. If it had headed out in any other direction, it may well have been impossible to follow due to the thickness of the vegetation. And I think it potentially is just waiting here for one of these dwarf mongoose to run towards it. That is my theory. So we may have a dwarf mongoose first leopard encounter shortly. As I was saying before, he did get up and mobile, folks. It is an interactive safari, so you can ask questions on Twitter, #SafariLive, and on email it's questions@wildearth.tv. So send as many questions as you can. Sorry, they really do help us out here in the field to get the conversation flowing, and also just to understand what you guys are interested in, and any questions you may have we can answer, which is, I think, an incredible situation, considering you can be any in the world, where in the world, and we can be having a conversation here. Okay, the questions just come through from Brenda in Pennsylvania. Good afternoon, Brenda, and welcome back. I think you were on this morning's drive as well. Brenda's asked whether leopards hunt in pairs, and the short answer to that is no. They are typically solitary animals, and unlike lions that hunt cooperatively in prides, leopards do not do that. Potentially on the odd occasion when leopards have been mating, or when a mother is walking around with two of her sub-adult cubs that are basically fully grown, just like this individual, they may through default aid in a hunt, but they typically don't hunt strategically in pairs. So that was one part of Brenda's question, and the second part of the question was whether or how quickly they can accelerate. And I'm not sure of the conversion in feet, but it's 28 meters a second is a statistic that I've been given, which is an incredible speed of acceleration. So 28 meters a second is what I understand. It's very intent on something now. It may be a dwarf mongoose running towards it. So let's just stay tuned. Don't go anywhere at the moment, folks. You do not want to leave, because something could happen at any second. So that equates to 92 feet per second that it can accelerate at. So very, very quickly. Something has certainly got this youngster's attention. Probably not the first time he's hunted these dwarf mongoose in his life. He has spent close on 2 years in this territory that at the moment he's sharing with his mother, but that won't continue for much longer. But he seems to have given up. Thanks for that question, Brenda. Okay, we've just got another question through from Karen in London, and she's asking how I would tell the age of this leopard. It's difficult to tell just by looking at them unless you know them or know stories about them, and that's exactly how I know about this one, from the fact that it has been monitored since birth, and they know it was born in December 2012. So this leopard has been followed very closely. Its mother's been followed very closely for years. So that is how we know the age of this specific leopard. But by looking at them, even if you don't know the leopard, you could make calculated guesses as to how old they are by judging their facial expressions. How many scars and scratches they have also would indicate that they are old, whereas this individual is basically flawless. So I hope that answers your question, but like I said, in this case, we know these animals very closely and individually, which is abnormal considering how shy and elusive leopards usually are. Thank you, Karen, for that question. Sorry, I am just keeping a very close eye on this animal, so if I'm stuttering and stammering through the questions, it's because I'm just trying to take stock of everything around us, not only the leopard. In case there are any other prey items, we would hate to influence it. Now, if we're lucky, it's going to jump up this tree. So let's see what happens here. It could jump up the tree just for a vantage point. There's a nice little low fork there that would work very well for this. Come on. Okay folks, so for those of you who haven't been following very closely over the last few years, or if it's your first drive, this male is known as the quarantine male, and he's been named after an area that he spent a lot of time, which was an old quarantine area when people were reintroducing animals to this area. So that is his name, and typically when animals are named, it's after a territory or a road or a place where they spend a lot of time. So this is the quarantine male. He's got a brother called Kunyuma, who's also the same age, obviously 2 years old, and their mother is called Karula. Now Karula has been one of the stars of the show with WildEarth for many years. She's given birth to 8 cubs in her lifetime, of which 7 she's raised all the way to adulthood, which is an incredible statistic. It's a high success rate. The mortality rate of young animals is quite high. Archer, even the predators. So Quarantine over here has got a very good mother. We haven't seen her for close on 2 weeks now. She is believed to have given birth to some new cubs, so we're hoping to see some new additions to the leopard family of Djuma very soon. She was seen mating just over 3 months ago, so that does correlate with her giving birth now. It's about a 3-month gestation period for leopards. So he's still lingering around in her territory, this young male that we're looking at, but it is going to come, there will come a point in time where she does chase him off, and if not her, his father, the local territorial male here, will eventually say enough's enough, it's time to move on. So this animal could end up hundreds of miles from here in years to come. Folks, look at how close he has gone to that vehicle. They are incredibly relaxed with the vehicle, and this is abnormally good leopard viewing, folks. It's not often quite as good as this. It doesn't matter where you go in Africa. To see leopard sightings of this quality when they are this relaxed with the vehicles is really, really something special. He is heading into thicker vegetation now, folks, so things are going to get difficult. I'm just going to see what Texan here does, the local guide, with a bit more knowledge of what lies between the roads in this area. Still have a visual of the leopard. It's just on our left hand side, not far from us, and he is looking down into a riverbed. I'm not sure what he can see there, but if you give us a few moments, I'm sure we will work things out. Okay. It's difficult for us to see what he is looking at, but there is certainly something. It could still be the dwarf mongoose that we're running around this area. So I'll just give it a moment or two. Sure, he's a beautiful animal, this. Wouldn't it be wonderful to see him make a kill at such a pivotal stage of his life, now that he is basically entirely self-dependent? The first leopard kill I did ever see many years ago was of a young female making her first kill, or first known kill, which was a very special experience. It's a good time of year for him to be on his own. There are lots of young animals around which do certainly provide easier meal opportunities. So Brian's just giving you an idea of the terrain that we are working with here, and it is difficult for us to always maneuver ourselves without also interfering with what is going on here. So it's thick vegetation, good for the leopard's hunting, because there's lots of opportunities for him to hide and stalk, but for filming it makes it a little bit more difficult. Bear with us for a few moments, folks. He's just on the move, so I want to establish what our best plan is, but now that I can see where he's going, I think I know what to do. Thankfully he's just heading parallel to this road. We've been so fortunate with the direction that he's chosen to move in. So I'd be grateful for that, because he could have very, very easily disappeared into thick vegetation where we would have no chance whatsoever of following him. There's a wooden stump up ahead here that I'm guessing he is going to jump onto. But let's see. Yep. There's certain things that leopards simply cannot resist. And that small little bit of elevation, like we can see, a fallen down tree, is what they do love to get themselves perched on. the catwalk. Absolutely magical. We are getting spoiled here, and I will keep saying that because this does not happen every day. For those of you who do follow closely, you'll know that. For those of you who it's your first time, you've joined in on a very good drive. Extremely fortunate with what we're seeing here. Now, judging from his behavior, it's fair for us to establish that he is hungry. He's been hunting basically for about 25 minutes now. He's been on the move with small breaks, intermittent breaks, but he's certainly hungry. Judging from his behavior and judging from his appearance, that belly is looking rather empty. So having a hungry leopard at 4:30 with another 2.5 hours to go on this game drive is a very, very good place to be. I am going to try and do a large loop ahead of it. It has been moving in a gradual direction, and I think it's fair for us to assume that we will continue to head in this direction. Now, I have seen impala along this road, and a lot of impala, so on various different drives. So also remember that it shouldn't be too long before he does come across some form of a potential prey item. Sure, he is certainly very, very intent, folks. It looks like he may have seen something. Look at that gaze, folks. Well, isn't this something, guys? This is really fantastic. We couldn't ask for much more than this. We've got this leopard right here. He's on the hunt. Things are looking good for this afternoon, folks, and I'll keep saying that. You mind turning on that camera behind you as well when you do have a moment. Or isn't there something, folks? He's right in the middle of the road now, as you can see. And scanning, moving a few meters, stopping, scanning. If he blows his cover now, animals far and wide will know that there's a threat in the area. That's why he keeps moving, very short intervals, stopping, reassessing, looking for any potential prey. And they've got a very large menu, a very wide menu, especially at this stage of their lives. So anything he comes across, he is going to try and catch that's smaller than him within reason. So we are in for a treat here, folks. I'm guessing he may well head up onto this termite mound that he's approaching. Again, just to get a better vantage point, be able to scan the area. And it's really beautiful to watch how they stalk up and watch how he peeks his head over the other side. Watch this. Beautiful. Beautiful. Sorry I didn't call you, man. We had just gone live and I was going to.
No
Cool.
Good stuff.
Cheers. Well, it looks like there's some serious photographers on this game here that's enjoying the sighting with us. And I'm sure they are very happy with the photographic opportunity that's unfolding here for them. Actually got a little bit more forward. There we go. He's been very lucky so far. There have been no major alarm calls from any squirrels or any birds, which certainly will aid him in his hunting efforts this afternoon. The more little alarm calls that go out, the more prey items become concerned that there is a predator in the area. So he has been fortunate so far. Thinking about moving a little bit ahead and giving you guys a different view, a little bit more of a front-on view. So let's see if we can work this out. Oh, he's just in a big yawn there. there's not much that I feel I can say other than just enjoy this, folks. We've got an incredible view of an incredibly beautiful cat. And these moments don't happen every day out here. These are the moments that Brian and I live for and love and do this on a daily basis. This is really special. We've got a question that's just come through from Bill in Minnesota, and Bill is asking, how big do leopards get? Now, it varies in the areas you find them, but females can be from anywhere as small as 30 kilograms up to about 50, 60 kilograms, and males anywhere from 60 up to 100, sometimes a little bit more than 100 kilograms. So those are the kilogram weights I have for you. In terms of length, from tip to toe, some may be as big as 10, 11 feet, 12 feet from tip to toe, but it does vary, and they stand about 3 feet, 4 feet high. So not a big cat relative to lions. Lions would be considerably larger. Where a female lion would at least weigh 120 kilograms, a lioness. So, and jaguars also similar to that. So the leopards are small. So to give you guys an idea of the conversion from kilograms to pounds, 100 kilograms is 220 pounds, 30 kilograms is 65 pounds. So, oh, beautiful. When he stares back at us like this, we've got a really magical sight. So yeah, not the biggest cats, but pound for pound, one of the strongest. How they can carry their prey up trees is one show of how strong they can be. So an incredibly powerful cat despite its size. John from Connecticut just asked what the biggest prey item is that this animal could take down, and in the region of a male impala would be the kind of higher end of his scale, but strange things do happen. Maybe a small zebra or a small wildebeest he would take on. I've seen footage of a young leopard trying to catch a lechwe in Botswana, which probably weighed three times what the leopard did. So they sometimes bite off more than they can chew and learn a lesson, but an average large prey item that he would be happy with would be a male impala, but potentially an inyala or something slightly bigger like a kudu would be taken down, but that would be less likely. I wonder how long he's going to sit here for. It would be interesting to find out, and we will find out because we are not going to go anywhere just yet. but he went from quite intent moving to now a small break, but this is normal with cats. So folks, for those of you who have just arrived, we've been following this leopard now since we started about 45 minutes ago. He's a young male leopard that is fairly well known in this area, and he's just popped out in front of our vehicle there, and he's back on the hunt. So we've been watching him, he's been moving, he's been up and down, he's been stalking different animals, so he is on the move, and we will continue to follow it. Cover behind you there again, please, Brian. The camera. Yeah. So again, just to recap folks, if you have just joined, a young male leopard, 2 years old, this is the quarantine male, and the sun is shining and we are getting spoilt with an incredible leopard sighting so far this afternoon. It will be interesting to see how much longer we do manage to stay with him, because the vegetation is thick here, and this morning, after being viewed for just a few minutes, he was lost. It happens all the time. If they head into area of thick bush and zigzag one or two times, we lose track of. He is stalking something. I can't see what is in there, but he is certainly showing interest in something in this thick vegetation down to our left. So we'll try and always loop ahead of where he is moving. That way we can see what he's heading towards, and if there is any potential prey, we can try and position ourselves accordingly. There, you just got the head of him slinking off. But as you can see, the vegetation is thick, and for us to go crashing through directly behind him would certainly not help in his hunting this afternoon. So we're going to try and keep ahead on the road as much as possible, and when there are little gaps, which I think I can see one now, we will sneak into them. We've been very fortunate with a little opening here, and he should pop out any second. Where has he gone? The thing with leopards is that they are masters of disappearing, but no, we've hit a lucky one. He's coming straight towards us. Again, just to reiterate, they like to move a few meters, 15 to 20 meters, stop, listen, reassess. If they do blow their cover, they have to move many miles away from where they currently are before animals are less neurotic and less concerned of a predator in the area. And this process can start with a small bird alarm calling, and that then triggers a tree squirrel, which then triggers another bird, and then It's got a domino effect that does not aid in the leopard's plans for this afternoon. Like I say though, this afternoon he has been extremely fortunate and had very, very minimal alarm calls in his direction, so at the moment he is unknown, undetected and hungry, so we are bound for some entertainment. Brian and I were deciding where to start this afternoon's drive, and we said, well, let's just go find a shady tree, and we were on our way to a shady tree when we found this animal not too far from us. Just repositioning to make space for the other vehicle. Okay. It is hot, folks, so you'll notice he is panting, even though he hasn't moved very far or very strenuously. The temperature out here is very warm, hot and humid. Oh, something behind him seems to have got his attention. Well, what could it be? We'll have to follow along and find out. Well, at least try to. It's not going to be easy. We may have to go back around. Yeah. I'm tempted to go back. It's not easy, folks, deciding what to do here, but we may just have to force our way through. Brian, hold tight. Oh! Okay, we've got no thorns on the left, but thorns on the right. Or other way around, rather. All good? Well done. Well done, Brian. Thankfully, folks, Brian's got very long arms, so in situations like this, it helps us greatly. And Zanele has a way to wiggle away through the smallest of gaps. Now, I did have a visual of him a few seconds ago, but I has a way to wiggle away through the smallest of gaps. Now, I did have a visual of him a few seconds ago, but I can't see him now. Okay, there, Brian's got him straight ahead, well spotted. Long arms and good eyes. So, now imagine if we were tracking this animal by its footprints. It would have been heading in a uniform direction the whole time. I've just seen a scrub hare here. It's a lucky scrub hare. Brian will focus on it to show you. But that right there would have been a tasty snack for it. I'm not going to stay long because we will lose this leopard if we don't stay with it. Shame that poor scrub hare looked terrified. I think it saw the leopard walk right past it, so understandably that is why it looked terrified. Now we can't see the leopard. Where has it gone? There it is, straight ahead of us. Cool. We got lucky again. The luck continues. So heading straight back in the direction it came from. So as I was saying, imagine if we were tracking this animal and it's followed its tracks, we would presume it would carry on in that direction, but as we've just been shown, it's on a complete U-turn. And you wonder if it heard something or what it was exactly that caused it to change its direction immediately. I'm going to have a close look at these tracks because it's always useful to look at tracks that are very fresh. Now we know they're seconds fresh, in order to refresh the brain and the memory of how extremely fresh tracks would look on this kind of soil. Ooh, there's an Inyala right here, but the Inyala seems to have seen him. Yeah, no, he's got no chance. But there is an Inyala. He's slinking down the road trying to hide from it. And this is bizarre. I cannot believe that the Inyala has not alarm called. And he obviously thought that he wasn't even going to bother trying to catch this Inyala, which I'll stop for now. The Inyala is still certainly looking at it. It's not easy to see, but I'm just going to stop here to give you an idea. It's staring straight at it, and it didn't even let off one alarm call. How interesting. Obviously the leopard realized it was too late. It had been seen. There was no ways it was going to catch it, so rather run off and try and not let this Inyala alarm call, as opposed to trying its luck, failing miserably, having the Inyala alarm call, and then the message being spread out like I said. It is excited though. It's trotting down the road, as am I. Excited, not trotting down the road, but certainly excited. Quarantine male is now at Weaver's Nest, Philemon's Cutline Junction. I wish I knew what he had heard earlier, because he seems excited about something, and what a privilege for us to be witnessing this excitement that he's showing. There's an awesome sequence of his tracks heading in the direction he's just come from and heading back now. Which again, like I was saying regarding tracking this animal, it's not an easy task. Now, this is going to become difficult because I know the vegetation he is heading into. It's an area of riverbed, and if he heads down into it, it's going to make things difficult for us. But okay. Cool, let's see what happens. We'll get into this riverbed and see if he doesn't pop out alongside us. It appeared that he was continuing down towards the riverbed, but hard to tell for certain. As we saw earlier, he did a complete U-turn. I'm not sure if this riverbed is thick enough for us to drive through. It's not looking like it is. Oh no. To next. I may be able to sneak the little gap here. Hold on. Okay. Oh, good grief. There's a myriad of different sections of this riverbed that split and fork and weave through this area, which is not going to make things easy for us, but we will continue trying. You see now these precious seconds that we lose when we cannot see them. Make relocating this animal tricky. How are you doing there, Brian? All good? Wonderful. Okay. That's not him lying there, that's a rock or something, right? Brian? Yeah, really. We nearly got stuck. But our luck prevails. These vehicles are really quite impressive, folks. It's not my driving, it's the vehicle that's basically doing everything for us here. Lots of fun. Now. Where has he gone? I haven't given up on this leopard yet, folks. I still think there's a strong chance we will be able to find him. And we are going to do everything in our power to do that. And here's some Franklin alarm calling up ahead here, which may be due to him. Where have you gone? Not to worry, here his track's going straight down the road. So he did certainly walk along this section of road seconds ago, and I'm hoping we're going to come around one of these, there we go, one of these corners and find him. So that's what happened, luckily. Just want to find out exactly what road I'm on and just keep the other vehicles updated, folks. It's so important for us to share these special sightings with people that don't happen every day. So I'm just going to make sure I do everything in my ability to make sure the guides are informed, and that way they will do the same for us when they find something exciting. What is it that got his attention? Copy. But it really was interesting that he literally heard something and turned around and moved in quite a haste in this direction. And I doubt it would have been another leopard vocalizing. They very seldom vocalize at this time of day, so who knows what it could have been. Ooh, look at that. Look at this, folks. Look at the little tail twitching and excitement. That can often cause young leopards to come unstuck. They stalk perfectly, but they've got this big tail wagging. Young leopards to come unstuck. They stalk perfectly, but they've got this big tail wagging from side to side above them, giving away their position. But there we go. I'm guessing it's something small, possibly a mongoose, possibly a small bird, a francolin. But whatever it is, it's being stalked by a leopard. Now, look at that tail, look at the tail. Oh, it's excited. I'm going to try and creep along now, folks. It's a balance between interfering and trying to show you what's going on that I'm trying to balance here. What has he seen? Look at this, folks. Stalking right alongside the vehicle. I still don't have a clue what he's looking at. But this is sensational, what we are seeing. Oh, there they are. There's impala. There they are. It's a herd of impala. They look to be like a herd of males. And now what I would like to try and do is try and distance myself from the leopard, but in time we will do that. At the moment we probably shouldn't move anywhere. Let's just see what happens and then try and reposition later if the situation allows for it. Now folks, to give you an idea, oh, there's already an impala alarm calling. Possibly they've picked up the scent. Who knows? I don't think it is. This is very strange. Because I doubt that they've noticed that it's him here. So unless there's another predator nearby, which there could be, because the wind doesn't seem to be blowing in their direction, although it's swirling. No, it's blowing towards us very faintly. So they shouldn't have got a scent, but there is something that is alarming those impala. Now if it was him, they would be looking here, and they are not. Which is a good thing for him, because now they think that the threat is on the opposite side of where it actually is. Or maybe there's a threat on both sides, I'm not sure. But oh, there they go running across the road. Now folks, to give you an idea of how close it needs to be 5 meters away, 15 feet, 12 feet before he pounces or starts to chase down any prey. The prey items are exceptionally quick, and unless he's very, very close, he's got absolutely no chance. So still a lot of work for him to do here. I wonder what these other impala are looking at. It could be another leopard, could be his mother. They appear to be going back to whatever it is that they started alarm calling at, and now they're following it and tracking it through the bush. Rather than fleeing off and leaving it, they stay with it and alert as many other animals as possible of its presence. I wonder what it is. Imagine if it's another leopard. This would be the perfect time for him to slink on up behind them while they're all looking in the opposite direction. But sadly, he has not realized this. It's not uncommon for leopard to find prey items like this and stay within a relatively close distance to them and wait for nightfall. I'm not saying that this is going to happen now. It usually happens when they know that nightfall is a lot closer by. Now it's still another hour or so before sunset, so who knows, but it is something that they do sometimes employ, the waiting game, waiting for darkness to fall, and that certainly does increase their chances of catching prey at night. Go ahead. Just double check that I'm giving these people the right information. But I think I am. Yeah. Of Wushibam Road, I think, is the actual road. It really is interesting to follow this animal now. It's been an hour and a half since Brian and I found it, and the intensity at which it moves, and then all of a sudden it stops. and then it's high intensity movement for a short period of time, and then it stops. And that's interesting to know, and information for us to bank for when we're following these animals or following their tracks and trying to find them, to understand all these variables, how they may react or may behave. Understand all these variables, how they may react or may behave. The impala have evidently calmed down. Good afternoon, HT. Folks, it's really wonderful to be able to communicate with all of you, but to be able to communicate with somebody who was here doing what I'm doing just less than a week ago really is special. So for those of you who are new, Hayden and another presenter, Peter, were here before myself and Mark arrived, and they got the ball rolling and did a big cat week on Nat Geo, and now he's back home in London and busy watching this. So hello HT, good to have you on board, and I'm glad we're getting to share this wonderful moment with you. Meters past the front of the vehicle, folks. It really is so special to have animals that are usually this shy, they're so elusive and so shy, completely relaxed with us. And again, a good example of how their behavior can all of a sudden just up and change. He's sniffing something intently on the ground, possibly where another animal has moved. And once again his direction has changed drastically. Hey, how you doing? No worries.
Sorry, I'm Henry.
Hiya, I'm Scott. Nice to meet you, Henry. That's done, but still live streaming on the internet. So, until the 31st of January. So, a nice long stint. I'm going to try and stay with him, and we'll keep in touch on the radio. Cool, we'll see you later, Henry. Nice to meet you. Okay, folks. It's always good to meet fellow people who traverse these areas with us. Now, what the leopard appears to be doing is moving through some quite thick vegetation. Because the more the merrier out here. We all need to stick together, and whether it be at work, at play, out here in the bush, you prefer to have as many friends as you can, and that's exactly what we've just had now, is a new friend, new introduction. So good to meet some new people. Now, oh, here's the leopard here. Good. It's just on the left of the screen walking through. Brian's giving you a quick shot now. And our luck continues. Maybe it's Hayden's porcupine quill. This guy that's giving us all the right angles and little 2 tracks we need. So HT again, thank you. I'm sure Hayden's missing it here greatly, folks, as much as he'd love to be back home with the family. There is something very special about this place, and all of us here have fallen in love with it, so we hope it's the same for you wherever you're viewing. So he has made a very clever move here. He's decided to get into this thicker vegetation that he's in now, and that way approach the impala and be able to get closer to them with more cover. He is basically, I think, in line with the impala, so relative to where our vehicle is. They are alarm calling again now, but again, that could be for some reason, whatever it may be, the same reason that they were alarm calling earlier. I don't think it is because of him. As bizarre as that may sound, when they set off the first few alarm calls, the wind was in his favor. He certainly hadn't been seen, so hence my judgment as to the fact that it could be another predator. Well, folks, I'm not sure how much longer this incredible fortune is going to continue, because we have been spoilt rotten this afternoon. By far my best leopard sighting since I've been here. The time that we've been viewing it, the amounts of different activity that we've seen from it, from him scratching his claws on the tree, climbing up that termite mound, stalking various different animals, running away from the Inyala. We've already got a long list of special things that we've witnessed this animal doing. And a little bit of off-roading in between, just to keep it entertaining, keep it exciting. We managed to lose him and find him a few times, which was also great. Oh, there goes some go-away birds now. I'm sure they are going to shout at him. So let's watch what happens here. There they're starting. Okay, Brian's going to try and get onto them. They look very hot and they are panting, the go-away birds, but watch, as soon as they see him, I'm sure they're going to start. There's one. So, the one that's doing that call is furthest away from it, so again it's strange. The 3 closest go-away birds that should have seen it by now are not the ones alarm calling at it. Can you still see the leopard, Brian?
Yeah, it's just ahead.
Okay, there. It's too busy watching the go-away birds. Oh, that was a woodlands kingfisher that you would have heard its shrill call as it came flying past. I'm trying to keep a mental note of where he is moving, because there's a strong chance he will follow similar paths when he does move from area to area. So the next time we have his tracks in this area, I may have a good idea of where to walk or look for him. You see, the regular game viewers have got such a long wheelbase that it's difficult to maneuver them through this thorn felt. And that is the beauty of Zanele and Jigger, but as I mentioned earlier, sadly Jigger is out of commission this afternoon. Okay, where to go now? Well, Henry has got a visual of him, so we'll just take this opportunity to try and loop ahead. Okay, cool. Thank you, Brian. Okay, that seems to have worked out. Here he comes. And then up the termite mound again, I'm sure. What I'm going to try and do is stay ahead of him, and that way we might be able to see him creeping over this termite mound from the front. Would be a nice view. Okay, beautiful. Sure. Sure. Oh, we just checked down that termite mound for any potential snacks. Oh, this is wonderful, folks. Jeez.
Phenomenal.
The sun is out, he's walking past our vehicle, I don't know how many times now. It really is so special what we're seeing. It's been close on 2 hours now that myself and Brian would have been with this animal. Too good. You're more than welcome to shoot ahead. We'll definitely hang around, but you try and get a few more better views. It looks like quarantine. That's my guess. Well, folks, we are very close to the quarantine clearings that he's been named after. Brian will be able to zoom across to them now, just to give you an idea. Zoom across to them now, just to give you an idea. So you can see those open clearings over there. Those are the quarantine clearings. And this is where he gets his name from hanging around here. So I'm sure it won't be too long before he does head back there. And maybe the cherry on the top will be him climbing up one of the beautiful marulas that dot the quarantine clearings. And the weather has cleared up beautifully. Myself and Brian were concerned for a bit of rain this afternoon. But all is looking good now. Sorry, just fell down a small hole. Now another one. Not doing too well here. Oh. Okay. We may need to change our angle of attack here slightly. He appears to be heading down to the drainage line. And interestingly enough, Mark, who is the other presenter here at the moment, he spent a lot of time watching this animal grow up and watching his mother Karula raise various cubs over the years. And he pointed out a certain tree which is just in front of us called a boerbean, and he said that she used to spend a lot of time with her cubs, Quarantine and Kunyuma, at this tree, and he appears to be heading back there. So again, just useful information that gets passed on through the generations of guides or different people that work in these areas and get to know animals, and you know, to a degree where it's almost incredible how much people know about these wild animals, with no collars, no tracking, or simply just from spending hours viewing them. You get this really in-depth information which is so pivotal in continuing to monitor them and continue to research them and understand them. I'm looking forward to spending the next few months with Mark. He's incredibly knowledgeable and a lot of fun at the same time, so the camp is a happy one, that's for sure. Sorry if you haven't had good views for the last few minutes, but he has been on the move, and we're also giving Henry and the other vehicle a chance to follow him a little bit closer. His stomach is really empty, folks. He is certainly extremely hungry, and probably hence his behavior today. A lot of activity and movement in the heat of the day because he is being forced by his hunger. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if we can cross this riverbed that he's heading down towards, and it's that exact tree that Mark pointed out to me the other day. Okay, I lied, it's not the exact tree, but it's close to it. That exact tree is behind us to our left, but an area nonetheless that Mark did say to me, keep an eye out in this area for leopards because there's a strong chance they'll move here. And only a few days later, he was right. Here we go. We've got this young male leopard moving through an area where it spent a lot of its life as a cub growing up. Ooh. He's following the scent of something, not easy to tell what it is. And now just taking a seat and relaxing. Do you know? I've lost sight of him. He is behind us somewhere. Just relaxing back there. So it's a bit too close for us to move the vehicle at the moment, which is fine. We can give it a minute or two. Oh, there he goes. Well, we're in for some interesting off-roading here, folks, because it's a network of small riverbeds that run through this area. That may make our life a bit difficult, but at the moment, we're okay. Maybe trying to find some water here to drink in a little puddle or pool, or simply he may just be crossing. Oh, I cannot believe how lucky we've been today. All the little pathways and tracks that we've been allowed to follow him along. This is wonderful, folks. We've still got lots of time to share with you, and considering where he's heading now, I'm not too concerned about us losing sight of him, which I was concerned of a little bit earlier. Now, I could think of nothing better than starting the drive with this individual and finishing it with him. And in total, we probably haven't been further than a mile away from the final control, so that's also a nice thought. try and get onto a road that runs along the edge of these quarantine clearings that we are approaching now. Probably not taking the best route to get there, but trying to avoid crashing over any trees unnecessarily. Okay, well, welcome to the quarantine clearings. This is where we are. We took a strange route to get here. Okay. Well, somewhere in amongst all that bush he is, walking towards us. Folks, he's right here. I know he's deciding to take a seat. I'm not complaining. Look at this, folks. He's right here. I know he's deciding to take a seat. I'm not complaining. Brian's not complaining. This is incredible. What is he looking at? There's a lot of game that frequent these open clearings, after which he was named, and that's all fine and well, but catching animals when they are in open clearings like this is close to impossible unless you're a wild dog or a cheetah. But right now, I'm not too concerned about that. All I'm really doing is enjoying this incredibly close view of an immaculate young male leopard. The older animals become well, folks, it's important that we understand that to view leopards at this proximity is uncommon, and it's taken 50 years, 55 years of slow and careful behavior and interaction between us and these animals in order to get to this stage. It's certainly not like this wherever you go. Leopard occur throughout most of Africa, but to see them like this is very rare and unique. There's something that's he's all of a sudden decided to kind of slink away from. There are some antelope way up in the distance there, which I will show you, or Brian will show you, but they are far, far away. Sorry, Brian. But just to give you an idea of those impala, they're a long way away in the middle of an open clearing, so not easy prey. And for some reason he decided to, rather than being detected or alarmed at, that they're already alarm calling, it appears. The senses just really are so good. These animals out here, all of them, be it the prey animals or the predators. Well, he's found some shade, and I assume he is going to spend the next few minutes relaxing. He's moved quite a lot, and I'm guessing now that he will be stationary for a while. I wouldn't hazard a guess as to how long, but my thoughts are that he will be taking a small breather now. He's moved a fairly large distance, and it's time for him to make sure that all of his spots are spotless. Exactly, thanks Brian. So yes, it doesn't happen by mistake that they appear in such beautiful condition. It does require some attention and some pampering. Even our bodies tend to attract or attach a lot of dirt and dust and little sticky burrs or seeds. So you can imagine having fur like theirs, how much stuff gets stuck onto it out here. Just going to give everybody an update quickly as to the whereabouts of him now. We've been the only vehicle that's managed to follow him through this thick bush, and again, all credit to Zanele for being able to transport us through this rugged terrain. Clearing. Trying to take a moment here to recap and look back on this afternoon. It seems like we've been with him for days. We've spent so much time with him, and he is. Seems like he's done a short beauty stop. Or, no, just repositioning. Getting access to other parts of his body that obviously couldn't clean from the previous angle. I wonder where his brother is. It'll be interesting to see where Kunyuma does end up in. As with quarantine, it'll be interesting to see in the coming year. I sadly don't think we'll see too much in the next few months that we hear. But in the coming year, it'll be interesting to see where they do move off and if there are any confrontations or more serious confrontations between their mother Karula and their father, who's called them Vula, a beautiful big male leopard. With males, they, like I said earlier, they can move many miles away from where they were born and where they grew up, whereas females tend to attach onto their mother's territory or sometimes even chase their mother out of their own territory if their mother is getting old. But females tend to stick around in the area where they grew up and squeeze in, establish their own territory between their mothers and other surrounding females depending on the dynamics. But males, sadly, because this chap's father would have such a big territory encompassing many females within his territory, he will need to get out of the whole of his father's territory and then possibly bump into the next territorial male who's also bigger and stronger than him and more experienced, and then having to keep on flying below the radar and dodging through these territories until he A, becomes big enough and wise enough and old enough to establish his own territory, and B, simply overpower a current dominant male. So he has survived the most difficult part of his life, though. The leopards, once they do get to this age, do stand a much stronger chance of making it through to adulthood than they do even 1 year ago. Even when they're a year old, they're still very vulnerable to being killed by other predators, other leopard, hyena, lion. But thankfully for him, his mother appears to be one of the best out there, and she's got an incredible strike rate out of that. Is 7 out of 8 cubs raised to maturity. I know a female leopard who passed away after not being able to raise one single cub, and she gave birth to 4 or 5 different litters before she did pass away. She did die quite relatively young, so she would have had more chances to raise cubs if she did survive, but she sadly got injured very badly hunting warthog, and the warthog sliced her front paw in half, and with an injury that debilitated her to that degree, there was no ways that she was going to make it through the other end, sadly. sniffing that bush. Why now? I'm not too sure. There's a woodlands kingfisher that's landed right here, Brian. We could maybe try and get it. Hey? Oh no, the branch is in the way. You see this? Worth a try though. You might get a lucky angle. Ah, there it is. So folks, it's difficult with the sunlight at the moment, but Brian's doing a great job. This is a woodlands kingfisher. It's sadly we can't see any of its bright turquoise colors that are all over its back, but we can see that little black mask over its eyes like a Zorro mask, and the red bill. Oh, there it goes. But I'm glad we got a good shot of it. Well done, Brian. And this leopard got up and moved in the time being. It obviously felt like it was being upstaged by the kingfisher and thought it needed to get a little bit closer and change its position. But yeah, folks, we've been trying to show you images of these woodlands kingfishers, but they are few and far between. That's why I got excited when this one landed right next to us here. We will eventually get lucky enough to have the woodlands kingfisher landing on a branch and opening up its wings and displaying the beautiful bright turquoise coloration that they have on their back feathers and wing feathers. So that is something to look forward to, but you are going to have to invest some time in us and follow us closely to witness that, as you would have to do to witness special sightings like we've had today. Try to catch a little fly there. As you can see by the way it's twitching its ears fairly constantly, the flies are bothering it, as they do a lot of the animals out here. Oh, another fly. At this stage it looks like that's the only thing he's going to be eating this afternoon. Afternoon, go ahead. Okay, copy that, Alex. Sorry, I was just calling in a game viewer there, so that obviously disturbed the signal. Alex in control this afternoon, folks. He was out on drive with me this morning as a cameraman. And he just let me know that we had a bit of a technical difficulty there. Sorry about that. For some reason, sometimes when I communicate on the radios, it has a negative effect on the broadcasting, but it's one of those little glitches that we're not too sure how to fix. I was just letting another game viewer know of our whereabouts so that they could also come and enjoy the sighting with us. And that's why I was communicating on the radio, just to keep you updated. You can hear a Cape turtle dove calling. It's a prominent bird call that we can hear. Go away, bird. Quack. Rattling testicle again. There's a few kind of usual suspects when it comes to the standard bird calls that we hear here. Now, considering that most cats do sleep for 18 to 20 hours on an average day, we were lucky to get close on 2 hours of non-stop activity from him. I think at this, the fact that he is a little bit younger and because he is hungry, the sleeping may take a little bit of a back seat at the current moment for him. Maybe more similar to our 12 hours on, 12 hours off, in order for him to give himself enough opportunities to catch some prey. That's also a go-away bird. It's not doing its regular quack call, but that is another little melody that they know how to ring out. Okay, Christina from Montana, good afternoon and welcome. Christina has asked whether lions and leopards share territories or compete over territories, what the deal is with lions and leopards and their territories. And how it works, Christina, is that lions are the top of the food chain here. They really are the king of the beasts and all the predators. A lion is big enough and strong enough to kill any other predator in this ecosystem and in most African ecosystems. So lion will kill leopard, they will kill cheetah, they will kill hyena, and any predator, other predator that they can get their paws on, they will kill. And this is simply to eliminate competition, which does make sense. Now, because of this reason, that alone would indicate to you that they would not share territories happily. However, leopards do live within lions' territories, but they just have to avoid the lions at all costs. So they do share territories, but not on a kind of happy basis. It's the leopard shares the lion's territory with the lion, but it doesn't own its own territory, and the leopard knows that the lion will kill it if it does get a chance. So that is also the same for cheetah, and sadly cheetah are even below leopard in that leopard and lion typically will both overpower and kill cheetah when they get the opportunity to. Typically they don't feed on other predators that they kill, but that is not a hard and fast rule. I have seen images and heard stories of predators eating other predators, but it is not the norm. But that's a good question, Christina, but sadly it's quite harsh and brutal the way nature does look after everything out here, and the hierarchy and pecking order is that of lions being right at the top, and all other predators having to bend and weave accordingly to avoid coming into trouble with these lions. Thankfully though, the way leopard can climb and disappear and their shy and elusive nature can be used in their advantage when avoiding and evading lion at all costs. Lions aren't good climbers, so that is also another fact to bear in mind, that if a leopard does come across lion, if it can get up a tree nearby of relative size, it typically doesn't have anything to worry about. So it's not a bloodbath out here in terms of inter-predator confrontations, but that's simply because each predator knows and respects other predators accordingly. But thanks, Christina, all the way from Montana. I hope you're enjoying your afternoon or morning or whatever the time is there, our afternoon that we're sharing with you. Go ahead, Bernie. Affirmative, I can. Keep coming, you should get our visual from the road. But you are getting closer. Yeah, I got your visual now. You should see us. So Bernie, who we met a little bit earlier on another game viewer, has made his way around and is rejoining us here. So we may just have to reshuffle a little bit just to give everyone a good angle, but we will work that out shortly. It will also be nice for us just to mix up the angle a little bit. That should do. Go ahead. Sorry, Benny, I'll make your way to exactly where I was parked. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep comms down. It interferes with our broadcast. That's why I haven't called you in as well as I could have. Apologies for that. So for any of you that have just joined us in the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we have been very fortunate this afternoon, and at about 10 to 4 our time, so 10 minutes before we were going to go live with the show, myself and Brian stumbled upon this beautiful creature that we're looking at now, and we have been with them consistently for the last 2 hours and 15 minutes since we went live. We've followed him stalking. Didn't get very close to anything, but he was certainly stalking with intent. Dwarf mongoose. He showed some interest in a herd of impala. He slunk off and had to run away from an Inyala that spotted him in a situation where he certainly had no chance of catching the Inyala, so just decided to try and get out as quick as possible before that Inyala let off the alarm. And it's been a wonderful afternoon. We have got to see a lot of his behavior, him moving through very different terrain, riverbeds, onto termite mounds, onto fallen down trees. So, an incredible afternoon, and we're not going to leave him just yet, even though there aren't any potential prey items that we know of or any major excitements that we're aware of potentially happening. The fact that we can spend time with an animal that's so relaxed with the vehicle, and of course anything could happen now. An impala could come running out of the bush and he could jump on it, or lions could come around the corner and he could climb up a tree. So I think it's best for us to stay here and enjoy every minute we can with this animal. For the last few weeks we have battled for leopard, abnormally so for this area. The Sabi Sands where we found ourselves this afternoon is an incredible leopard viewing destination, and typically the sightings are fairly common of them. But in the last few weeks we have been searching high and low and really battling to get sightings of them, so best we make the most of it while it's here. I've snapped off quite a few photographs today. I'm looking forward to seeing how they've come out. It is that beautiful stage of the evening again when temperature starts dropping drastically, a cool breeze picks up, and a beer comes to mind, but only later, not now. For you though, watching at the comfort of your own homes, it would be interesting to know what you may be snacking on or drinking on, depending on what the time zone is that you're in at the moment. But what a wonderful thought that there are people all over the world tuned in live, watching this exact same moment unfold together. It really is phenomenal how technology has brought us together and been able to share incredible experiences like this with you live. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, and look forward to see where the future goes with this. I mentioned the other day I'd really be interested in broadcasting live walking safaris. That would be something that I would thoroughly enjoy, and according to Mr. Wellington, the founder and brainchild of WildEarth, he seems to think that technology is not too far away from us being able to walk and do more remote broadcasting, which is certainly something to look forward to for you guys, the viewers. The less admin or technological glitches we have holding us back, the more we will be able to show you. So things are definitely heading in the right direction, and look forward to see what other projects pop up in the next year or so. Well, it's just us again. Bernie came in for a quick look, and I think he may be heading off for a beer or a gin and tonic. It's kind of the done thing out here to stop as the sun's going down, and it is about to go down. What we might do is reverse a little bit, keep an eye on the leopard, but try and find a higher view for you guys to see the sunset from. Cool. So that is what we'll do. We'll keep the leopard in view, but just try and head out a little bit, and that way let you see the sunset as well. Okay. I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll try, see what happens.
You have a good shot here, either.
And if you just focus on the sunset for a while and not the leopard, or should we give the sunset some time for it to become?
Well, before we know, the sunset will be gone.
It's difficult with where we are, folks, but we'll just wait here for a few moments. The sun should start dipping down and the colors should become better for you guys. But it's that time of the day here, folks. The sun is slowly slipping behind the horizon. And it will be a beautiful sunset, but probably only in about 15 minutes or 20 minutes once the sun's actually dipped behind the horizon. Then we should get a beautiful array of oranges and pinks in the clouds, hopefully. So, in that, due to that little assumption we've just made, we will now go back to the leopard, which is probably going to be a lot more entertaining to watch than the sunset at this stage, and then potentially return to show you guys the development in the sun's setting this afternoon. I wonder when last he ate, this chap, and what it was that he ate. Because since I've been here, which is since the 22nd of November, there has been no report of him being seen with a kill of any description. Now, I'm not saying he hasn't eaten in that long. He would probably not be alive if he hadn't eaten in that long. But what I am saying is that if he had have made a kill of a decent size, it would have increased the chances of us finding him in time to see him actually feeding on it. So I'm guessing he has just been feeding on very small prey items, baby birds out of nests, dwarf mongoose, monitor lizards, squirrels. These smaller prey items tend to make up the diet for young leopard. But I could be wrong, he may have caught some impala. There are baby impala around at the moment, and they do provide a very good source of potential food for the leopard. Well, folks, for all of the kind feedback you've given through to Safari Live on Twitter, Alex has relayed that to me, and I'm very grateful for all the kind words of people have sent through, saying how much they appreciate this sighting, and I really am glad to hear that, because it is a very special way to spend an afternoon. To get to see this animal doing its daily routine with very, very minimal impact, as you would have seen. It's as if we're not even here, and we've got an incredibly beautiful wild animal showing us a little bit of behind the scenes leopard life, which, like I say, a lot of the time they are sleeping, so it does go to show how lucky we've been this afternoon, considering how much time he has spent on the move and showing us different poses and maneuvers up the termite mounds, down the termite mounds, on the log. The stalking has been really incredible, that leopard crawl, that low crouch that they do. We've seen that several times this afternoon. So the varying degrees of behavior that we've witnessed in one afternoon really is fantastic. And thank you for joining us, folks. Because if you weren't there watching us, myself and Brian wouldn't be here having to film this. So we are very happy that you are happy. And it'll be interesting to see what tomorrow holds for us. I'm hoping that Mark's had some luck on the resurrection of Jigga, the second vehicle, who, now, Mark's had some bad luck. He broke down with Jigga yesterday afternoon at the start of the drive, and then managed to fix it. The fuel pump was dirty, so I took that off, cleaned it out. We do all of our own refueling, so that does increase the chances of a little bit of dirt getting into the engine. No, he managed to fix that problem yesterday, but sadly today another problem occurred this afternoon with the mechanics of the vehicle. So with a bit of luck he would have got it fixed this afternoon, but it is difficult. We are in quite a remote location and you can't simply pop into the mechanic around the corner here. We need to get the mechanic to pop into us, which requires a little bit of planning. But hopefully we'll both be out tomorrow morning again, and all of our toys and equipment will be working in fine order. We've just got a question from Jules, one of our zoomies, who mans the webcams at various waterholes and different areas around the world. And Jules has asked, at what age would this individual and his brother, in all likelihood, Kunyuma, start mating for the first time? I would guess that around 6 to 7 years of age would be a realistic age by which stage they may have acquired their own territory, and therefore the females that go within their territory. So yeah, around 6 to 7 years of age, but a lot will depend on the individual and circumstances. But it'll still be another 4 or 5 years before these individuals get to mate. Now that would be in a typical scenario, but I can't stress enough how strange things do happen in nature, and as much as we like to try and understand and know that everything is precise and certain, it's not, and it's probably not unheard of for a 4-year-old male to have mated in the past, or even younger than that, but 6 to 7 years of age is the age that I've noticed male leopards in this area of the Sabi Sands becoming dominant. But good question, Jules, thank you for that, and thanks for all your work on the Zoomy cams. You could see that sneeze slowly building up. Maybe he's got a little grass seed in his nose. What was interesting about following him this afternoon was he probably covered 2 miles in total in terms of distance covered that we followed him. And in those 2 miles, he didn't have very many opportunities, if any good opportunities, for hunting and catching any prey. So it just goes to show that it is difficult for them to come across prey. And then once they come across it, I mean, then it's a whole nother story trying to catch the thing. So as skilled as they are at hunting, the odds are stacked heavily against them. So for us to witness kills and be able to broadcast live kills, it gives an understanding of how difficult it is, and therefore how special it is when we do manage to show you stuff like that. In the last few weeks there has been some incredible footage captured. Wild dogs hunting, wildebeest giving birth on 4 different occasions. So just to name a few, lions catching a buffalo whilst they were currently feeding on another buffalo that they had caught the night before. So we have been spoiled up to date, but that's not to say we aren't going to be greedy and continue wanting to show you as much as we possibly can. Hopefully, if we ever end up in the Masai Mara in Kenya, that's a great place to broadcast live action from, because it's very open. So in terms of filming, your job is made a lot easier by the fact that you've got less obstructions to worry about when filming hunts or kills. The predator density in that area is also incredible. Cheetah, lion, leopard. The colors are beginning to pick up now around us, so we'll probably give you a little bit of a sweep around in a few minutes of the scenery that is surrounding us, and it really is beautiful. Some crazy purple clouds actually on the opposite side, on the eastern horizon, which is opposite to where the sun is set.
Picture doesn't do it justice.
No, yeah, certainly the picture doesn't do it justice, folks. But those clouds in real life have got a very purple tinge and pink tinge. It's only going to get better as the minutes tick by. So that's the eastern horizon, and then on the western horizon where the sun's set, there's a few puffy clouds, but the best certainly is on the east where we're looking now. I'm just going to reposition slightly so Brian can get a better angle on this sunrise, sunset clouds. Well, that gives you an idea, folks. It's not quite exactly the colors we're seeing, but not far off, and relatively clear skies, which we are thankful for, because before the drive started we anticipated that we may be getting wet. Wonderful. It's interesting how the animal choruses go through waves and phases of all the birds calling and then no birds calling, so at the moment it is relatively quiet. There's a black cuckoo calling in the different distance though. I've yet to see one of them this season, but I've noticed they've started calling within the last few days. They've really increased the intensity of their vocalizations or calls. So potentially the breeding season is heating up for the black cuckoo. Well folks, we've got another tweet in from a fellow WildEarth companion, and it's Nadav. Good afternoon, Nadav. Nadav spent a week with us. He is an 18-year-old who's developed an interesting app called Latest Sightings, and it allows people within the Kruger National Park to update people on sightings and therefore help one another, just as we do in these private reserves that surround the Kruger National Park. He's created this app that allows anybody who's in the Kruger National Park to update information and help one another to increase everyone's benefits of their stay there. So he spent the week with us doing some filming and seeing what it's like behind the scenes, and headed back to Johannesburg this morning. So he's already back there in Johannesburg watching this live, which is a scary thought considering he was just here this morning. But I'm glad you're watching, Nadav, and glad to hear you made it back home safely. Okay, I answered a question from Christina in Montana earlier. Now her son, I think his name is Died. I'm sorry if I've got it wrong, but Christina's son died. Welcome on safari, and he would like to know how fast a leopard can run. Tide. And the answer to that is very, very quick. Faster than any human you know. They're very, very quick animals, and they have to be able to catch antelope like impala, who are very quick. They need to be even faster. So the leopard can cover, we discussed earlier, about 90 feet in just 1 second. So the acceleration and burst is incredible. And if you've got a pet cat at home, or any of your friends who have got pet cats, if you think of how high a pet cat can move and jump, think of how much faster a wild animal like a leopard, who's even bigger and stronger, can move. It gives you a good idea of how fast they are. So very, very quick. the only way to find out is to keep on watching us, and until we manage to film one hunting, you will then see how quick they are. But to describe it in words, it is difficult. Their speed is incredible, and also their strength, the fact that they can carry an impala, which is their same weights as them, sometimes even heavier, up a tree, dangling out their mouth. I mean, that in itself is a huge feat and a huge example as to show how powerful and strong they are. But good question, Tide, and welcome on safari. I hope you're enjoying this afternoon. The clouds in the horizon are getting more beautiful as the minutes pass by. The ones on the eastern horizon have now run out of any ambient light, so they have gone dull, but now the western horizon is taking over, which is what we are looking at now. Oh, the leopard's heard something. He's just lifted up his head very intently. It could be any small kind of animal that's rustling through the bushes, but he was literally flat and all of a sudden lifted his head up, poised and ready. I wonder if he's going to get active for us in the last 15 minutes. Not easy to say. Judging by his behavior though, I'm not entirely convinced that he will get up and move for us. But hopefully he'll prove me wrong. Typically there'd be a lot more yawning and grooming just before they do start to get active. And we are not getting any of that from him, so Brian's doing a great job here, folks, of showing you the full perspective of our view that we're thoroughly enjoying at the moment. You typically can't go wrong with a leopard in the foreground and a sunset in the background. Doesn't matter how you swing it. Who knows where we would have ended up this afternoon had we have taken a different fork in the road earlier on. Sighting. Clearings. Well, for those of you who were on this morning's drive and were involved in the frustration of losing the leopard and losing signal and all of the rest, all the things that did go wrong, I'd like to think we made it up to you this afternoon with an incredible leopard sighting. And sadly Mark wasn't involved because he would have also loved to have shared this moment with you, but a few technical issues have caused him to be back at home this evening trying to fix old Jigger. We are planning on swapping between the two vehicles over the next few months because they do have slightly different benefits over one another. Zanella tends to have a broader reception strength than Jigger does, but it does vary and certain areas work and certain areas don't. But we will be chopping and changing between the two vehicles just to let you guys know that that is something to bear in mind, and that way we both get to experience the benefits of that each vehicle does have over the other. And small changes just to keep us stimulated out here where not much else changes. Oh, well, he timed his performance perfectly today, I think. He started off with a bang and has slowly wound down until now with just a few minutes to go. He's really slowing things down to a snooze, basically. The camouflage is scary in this shot, folks. It gives you a good idea of how easily they can blend into their surroundings. If you were just to tune in now, it would certainly not be easy to say, well, that's a leopard we're looking at. Well, at least for tomorrow morning we are going to know where to follow up on tracks of this animal. Very close. From here to our final control room is less than half a mile. So he is very close to where we start up our operations first thing in the morning. It won't be the first time that we would see leopard tracks around the final control. Most of the time we sadly don't manage to find them, and by spending time with him this afternoon it would have been a good example for you to understand how difficult it is to track these animals. You saw the vegetation we traversed through, you noticed how they changed direction completely almost 2 or 3 times on this afternoon's adventures. So all of these factors make it extremely difficult to find these animals, even if we do find fresh tracks of them. Despite how difficult it may be though, it certainly is exciting, and it's something that I thoroughly love to do, or try to do. I've got a lot of work to do on the tracking skill, but slowly we'll get there. Folks, just 5 more minutes to go sadly, but I think we'd be exceptionally greedy if we wanted anything more from this afternoon's drive than what we did manage to see. What I hope is that this young male does have a successful night out hunting. He does look extremely hungry. So hopefully next time we see him he has got a full belly or is busy in the process of acquiring some food. Either way, I'll be happy. Well folks, it has come to that stage of the safari, sadly. I've loved every second of it, and it's been a very special afternoon, probably my most memorable in terms of the leopard sighting, or definitely my most memorable. Just the way we started out and managed to bump into him lying up in a small riverbed where, if you were watching to start the show, you would have seen him lying up in a cool shady area. And from there I was seriously concerned that he could have headed off into some thick vegetation where we wouldn't be able to follow him, but luckily he kind of always took paths that Zanele, this old vehicle, managed to get us through, and we've had what I think is an incredible afternoon spent with this leopard. So I'm glad you could join in and share this moment with us. Tomorrow morning I'm hoping that it's going to be Mark and myself out on drive, but I'm not entirely sure on the situation with the vehicles. But there will be somebody taking you out on safari, so be sure to tune in then, if not tomorrow afternoon, the same as normal. And a big thank you to all the questions that were asked and to the kind words that people sent through saying how much they enjoyed this afternoon. It really does mean a lot to us out here. And to Alex in control and to Brian on camera, they've both done a sterling job this afternoon, so thanks to everyone involved, and we'll just leave the last few minutes of this show with the leopard who was the star of the show this afternoon. So until next time, take it easy and thank you.